Welcome. Today, I am going to be speaking about cortisol and the effects of cortisol. Cortisol is a very healthy and needed hormone. However, if it's out of balance, it can significantly impact women in midlife going through perimenopause and menopause. So today I'm going to look at what cortisol is and what it looks like in balance, and then the top signs or symptoms when it's out of balance, its effect on estrogen and progesterone in the body, which is where we see a lot of the disharmony or the irregularities around going through perimenopause and menopause and a lot of the symptoms that women are suffering with. And then most importantly, what you can actually do about it. So from a holistic, natural perspective. And I'm also going to send, at the end, I'm going to share a nervous system resetting tool because this is really important when you're looking at balancing cortisol. So welcome. My name is Angela Warburton. I'm an Eastern medicine practitioner by training. My background is holistic medicine using nutritional therapy, lifestyle medicine, herbal medicine, with the Eastern medicine perspective. I've had over 25 years of clinical experience with working with women in the clinic. I also combine it with the science that we know up to date, trying to make this very accessible for you to understand what the heck is going on in midlife, and most importantly, what you can do about it. So really trying to empower you to understand your symptoms, that you're not going crazy. There is a reason all these things are happening, but you do not have to suffer. And there's so much that you can do from this very holistic perspective. So welcome. I am so happy you are here. I'm really here to help you thrive. So cortisol, you've probably heard of it. A lot of people talk about cortisol, and cortisol, very healthy, normal hormone. It is the hormone that gets us up in the morning when the sun comes up and when we are exposed to bright light. Cortisol is triggered in our body and it wakes us up. It gives us that, get up and go, that energy, the vitality. And so that's great. We want that. We want it sort of peaks in the morning, and it should peak around midday and then slowly start to decline as the day goes on. Thing with cortisol is that it's also one of our primary stress hormones. So the hormones that are triggered in that fight or flight response in our body when we have stress, when we need to get out of the way of a moving car or something, to emergency hormones. So it's paired, it's released in larger amounts with adrenaline. So adrenaline, that thing when something happens and your whole body's flooded and you're kind of sweat or something, you're just primed and ready to move. And cortisol also is increased, but it stays active for a longer time than adrenaline in our body. So healthy, needed. Stress is also healthy. It's something that we're born to. We have this sympathetic nervous system, which is a survival system in our body. But it should be paired with our parasympathetic system, our rest and digest, the part where we heal, where we replenish our cellular regeneration, where we digest, where we detoxify our organs. And so when we're in balance, we're going into stress sometimes, and then primarily we're out of stress in this parasympathetic. In Chinese medicine, we say cortisol is a very yang hormone. It's a part yang system of the yin-yang balance. It's very active, very doing. It's very energetic hormone. And that needs to be balanced with the yin hormones, which would be more estrogen and progesterone, those more juicy kind of substancy kind of hormones. And so, so again, stress is normal. Stress is going to happen. But if you're leading a life where you're in chronic ongoing stress, where you're operating at a high level of stress all the time, you're going to throw your system out of balance, and you're going to have too much cortisol and not enough of those more parasympathetic hormones, and you can burn out your body basically. So when you have high cortisol levels, and again, your body does not know the difference between jumping out of the way of a moving car or just like, I've got too much work, or I have relationship stress, or I'm worrying all the time about things, or I just have too much on my plate and I can't get to all the things I need to do, or I'm feeling chronically like I'm not enough and therefore I need to do more to feel worthy, or whatever it is, that internal stress. Each person, each one of you has a unique sort of, we'll say, stress, a recipe for stress in your body, your unique stress story. And so it's going to look different for everyone. But it's when this chronic ongoing stress that you're going to see your body start to get out of balance. So when you have too much cortisol in your system, we get two patterns, too much and then not enough, which is kind of like a burnout. So if you have too much cortisol in the system, you might notice things like chronic headaches, muscle aches, feeling that tired and wired. I'm exhausted, but I can't fall asleep. You get that second wind at night because you're like, I'll just stay up a little longer. It's way too early to go to bed at 8:30. I will just stay up till 9:30 and oh my God, I have more energy now. That's because your body's released more cortisol in your system. So you're like, oh, and when you want to go to bed, you're like, I'm so tired, but I cannot settle down. That's a sign of too much cortisol in your system. Belly fat, if you have difficulty losing weight, if you're chronically feeling like you're getting sick or a susceptibility to illness, if you have high sugar or salt cravings. In Chinese medicine, the salts are associated with the kidneys or adrenals, which is where we store a lot of where our cortisol will be produced from, and all our sex hormones after menopause. So craving salt can be a sign that the system needs a little attention. Chronically low libido, insomnia, if you're waking up in the middle of the night, that can be a sign, high cortisol levels. Anxiety, depression, painful periods, those can all be signs that you are a little bit high in cortisol. Like I said, you can also have too little cortisol. So this would be sign if you have something called adrenal insufficiency, and Addison's disease is also, if you're getting diagnosed, you can have signs before anything shows up from the Western symptoms. And that's where Eastern medicine really thrives. It's like looking at all these little patterns in your body, all these little clues, and helping to diagnose from that place. And I'm going to do more videos on that soon. But if you have too little, chronic fatigue, feeling constantly, chronically tired, exhausted, like you cannot put on or muscle weakness and pain. If you're weight loss or you have a decreased appetite, low blood pressure. So if you stand up quickly, you can get dizzy or changing positions, even fainting. If you're hypoglycemic, so you have low blood sugar, so leading to like shakiness, or you get confused or disoriented, or even start to sweat because you're so hungry, that can be a sign, or that blood sugars drop, that you have too little cortisol. If you have darkening of your skin around scars or creases in your joint, craving salty food can also be a sign of this. If you have, if you notice that you're chronically stressed by minor events, or someone, if this ever happened to you, like someone walks into the room and you don't see them, you're like, oh my God, you just scared me, like getting those kind of like, or my mom does this a lot of times. She'll just overreact to like someone's dropping like a tissue on the floor. Like it doesn't have to be a big thing, but that kind of over sense, like you get that heightened response, that can be that be a sign of this. If you just cannot get up in the morning, you're like snooze, 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 and it takes you a long time to get going, or you're like, not until I've had my second coffee do I wake up. That can be a sign that there's just not enough cortisol in your system. We're going to talk about coffee some other time because it does not give you energy. It actually stimulates your body and your adrenals to release more cortisol, which short-term gain, long-term not gain at all. Low libido can also be part of this, and difficulty concentrating. And if you find that you get quite lightheaded when you're standing up, or you just with exercise, you don't feel well, that can be a sign. And emotionally feeling stressed, by overwhelmed by day-to-day activities, the low libido PMS, if you're really noticing that strong irregularity before your period, and difficulty concentrating, that can be a sign of it too. So none of that's fun. And so what you really want to do is we're going to look at it from a very holistic perspective, and lifestyle and food things that you can do. So, oh no, before I do that, I actually want to talk a little bit about the effects of high levels of cortisol and the impact on your estrogen levels and hormonal balance in the body. So high cortisol levels, because the body, it's a survival hormone. It's one of the ones that, and your body's always going to prioritize survival over everything else. And so the body is going to make sure it's producing cortisol, and it's going to put other hormone production on the back burner. And so other sex hormones like estrogen, because they have the same precursors as cortisol, it will prioritize cortisol versus estrogen. And this is what I call when you're getting into what I often describe as hormonal overdraft. And you're just not, your body is prioritizing one, and you're kind of dipping into the resources to produce the other. so overproducing one. So yeah, so they say estrogen and cortisol share the same precursors, and progesterone is a hormone that can be converted into cortisol. And so if you have high cortisol levels, it's sacrificing progesterone to produce more cortisol. And this is really common in perimenopause because progesterone is one of the first hormones to start to decline. And this is one of our hormones that really helps us sleep. So if you're noticing, that can be one of the main signs women see when they're starting to go through this perimenopause stage. And progesterone can also be converted into estrogen too. So if you're low in that, you're going to have again, that deficit, that overdraft. It's going to cause insulin resistance. So it can lead to irregular sugar balance. So if you look at hormones, if you think of a pyramid, and on the bottom, that's the largest part of the pyramid, and that's the foundation. And as you go up, you can go up to a point. If you flipped it around, it wouldn't balance super well. The bottom of the pyramid, if we think of how the cascades in the body, are adrenal glands and insulin. And then it goes up to your thyroid. And then at the very tip of your sex hormones, estrogen, testosterone, progesterone. And so if you are getting depleted down here, it's eventually going to show up in your hormones. I think of hormones as the canary in the coal mine. When they start to go off of balance, it's actually a sign that something down the chain is not in balance. And so number one thing I see is we need to work on our adrenal glands, that we say the kidney system in Eastern medicine. Otherwise, we're going to see things affect up the chain like insulin resistance and hormonal imbalance. And so so that's one of the things we can definitely see. And then there's an impact on the menstrual cycles. So high cortisol can disrupt the normal menstrual cycles because it's affecting those estrogen and progesterone levels. And it also affects the body's ability to metabolize estrogen. So it has an effect on the liver system. And if you're interested more in the liver and hormones and how to balance that, there's a video on stress in the liver. And I talk about some foods and lifestyle techniques and signs that the liver needs a bit of tending to. And so, but that's really important for metabolizing hormones and also helping to detox unhealthy hormones in the system, the liver. So there you go. So that it has a huge impact on the body. And so what can you do to regulate cortisol? So definitely stress management. Really, I know people say that, but it's really important. So a lot of my videos that I do is how to balance stress in your body. So techniques, I'm going to do a nervous system regulating technique at the end of this session. I have a few more in an ongoing. I'm going to be adding different techniques to balance or little exercises you can do to balance your stress, just for stress management, balancing your nervous system. You want to balance your what we call yang activities. So those things that are active in your body. So you want to do proper amount of exercise, and that's going to be varied woman to woman. So doing more exercise isn't great. And we actually found that prolonged exercise over 30 or 40 minutes will stimulate a stress response in the body. So you actually want to do more short bursts of exercise. I love the 5-minute dance breaks, running up and down stairs between bathroom breaks. If you go for a run for a minute, walk for 3 minutes, and that can actually help to regulate the system. But find what works for you. Sometimes you might not have any energy to do anything intensive, and that's good. That's okay. You shouldn't force yourself to do that because that can stress your body even more. So nature walks, restorative yoga, swimming, things that allow gentle movement in the body without overworking it. And then you want to include more yin activities. So this is nervous system resetting, where I'm noticing relaxing techniques. I did a couple of things of resetting with nature. That is incredible. I just got back from a vacation and I'm all nature resetted. That's not a word, but I just super calming, super resetting as well. And then you're going to want to make sure your diet is very mineral rich. You want to eat a rainbow and make sure that you're getting a lot of nutrient dense foods. So rainbows are good. Green foods really important. You're going to want to make sure that you are able to absorb the foods that you're putting in. So in Eastern medicine, it's really important to put warm cooked foods in, particularly in the morning. So listen up, all you smoothie lovers and icy cold things in the morning. You want to pause that and do first thing in your system warm, so that you're actually, it's like stoking the fire. The warm cooked foods, pureed foods. So like I love a pureed soup to replace a smoothie because it's exactly in the form that your body needs to break it down. And so warm, nourishing food and avoiding cold foods can actually really help your system take the stress out of digesting and make sure you're absorbing more of these great nutrient-dense foods. Just a few more foods. I know this is a little bit of a longer video, so hopefully you're staying with me. Omega-3 fatty acids, so salmon, mackerel, walnuts, healthy fatty seeds, flax seeds, really great. They can reduce, they've been shown to reduce cortisol levels in the body. We'd say they're more yin foods. These oily, rich foods are more on the yin side. Magnesium rich foods, a lot of our foods are depleted in magnesium. So spinach, avocado, almonds, all helpful. And they also help with mood as well. Vitamin C, that's a water soluble vitamin. So we just pee out if we have extra. So you want to make sure you're getting regular vitamin C. And that's shown to have huge impacts on the body, but also lower cortisol levels. So any of those citrus, if you're cooking greens or something, just put a squeeze of lemon on that. Put a squeeze of lemon in your water in the morning. That can be really helpful to just get that vitamin C in. It is heat sensitive, so you want to add vitamin C after you've cooked your food. It's a little tip there. Probiotic foods, things that are going to strengthen your gut, really important. B vitamins, another really important thing. So whole grains, legumes, eggs, leafy greens, those are going to be really helpful too. Our body, when it's in stress, tends to eat through more B vitamins as well. And then you can use things like herbal teas. Herbal teas that have what we call a nervine effect, the calming effect, can really help remind your body that it's safe. So in Chinese medicine and Ayurvedic medicine, ashwagandha is a really great herb, and you can take that as a supplement or food. Goji berries are really great. Chinese dates are really great for adaptogens or helping your body relax. I put some things like astragalus in. If I'm making broth or bone broth or soup, I could put a bit of astragalus in that, and it infuses into the soup, and then you're getting, it's an adaptogen, so it helps your body adapt to stress. And any kind of antioxidant rich food. You're going to love this. Dark chocolate, some of you out there. So the really good, healthy dark chocolate, organic as much as you can, nuts, berries, they're going to be helpful. You also want to make sure you're hydrated. Hydration is a huge part. If we're not hydrated, it's going to stress the body out as well. And just making sure you're eating regular meals, you're hydrated, you're able to absorb the meals. Just basic healthy living is really going to help reduce the stress. So not skipping meals as well. That's going to be really helpful as well. So there you go. So now what we're going to do, that's sort of food lifestyle. It sounds really simple, but a lot of times we just grab food or we don't do these basic things. But over time, I liken it to a bucket. And if we're, stressed all the time or not taking a moment to just reset our system or not eating the mineral or nutrient dense food, it's kind of like we have all these holes in the bucket. No matter what we put into the bucket, if we have these holes, it's just leaking out. So all these little things that you're doing for your lifestyle is like plugging the holes in the bucket. So whatever you're doing is going, that bucket, even drop by drop, it's going to fill up. And I want to be coming from a place of overflow and fullness versus like in, out, in, out. And so even if someone chooses to do hormone replacement therapy, if you're not addressing the underlying system, you're not plugging those holes in the bucket. So this technique I'm going to teach you is a very simple technique that you can do that's going to help to reset your system. It's called a butterfly hug. Doesn't that sound nice? And it activates the sympathetic nervous system. And this is when you can do, these things take a minute or two, which I know you have a minute or two, and done regularly through your day, it just keeps bringing you back. It's reminding, I was like, oh, wait, I'm not stressed. I can be relaxed. And every time you do that, your body remembers. And so it can reduce the stress over time and that fight or flight. And so with that comes reducing cortisol levels, just connects you into your body here and now. And this particular one is a bilateral stimulation. So I'm going to show you how to do that. And that alternating tapping that we're going to do just helps to process any stress or any trauma. And it's like neurologically, it's helping you to integrate and calm your nervous system. So really simple to do. It's you're going to, with this one, you're going to cross your arms and you're going to put them sort of by your shoulders, and you're just going to alternately tap. Breathing in, ideally, you can breathe into your low back ribs, down where those kidneys are, making, oopsie, I just didn't do it. There we go. To the sort of low back area, the kidney area, making your exhales a little longer than your inhales. And something about this slow cross-body tapping and then breathing really helps remind your body that it's safe. And the nice thing about this, you can do it up here. You can also do it on your legs. So you just cross your arms again and just alternately tap your thighs, your legs. This is great to do if you are in a meeting, in a Zoom meeting, and you just tapping, no, I'm just doing a little bit of a reset if you get triggered or if you notice yourself getting in that sort of fight or flight state. And so just doing this periodically during the day can help to reset your system. So there you go. Loving your cortisol, helping it to be balanced, and then resetting this tool as much as you can during the day. You can set an alarm on your phone or your computer, just reminding you to reset. And if you're ever triggered, this is a great one to pull out of your back pocket. So thank you for being here. I know it was a little longer today. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please say you liked it by hitting like, or I love hearing from you. So I love hearing your comments. And if you want to know more, tomorrow I'm going to be doing, or the next video will be my top essential oil for helping to reset your nervous system. So check back for that. And if you know anyone that would benefit from this, please send it on to them. I am here to help as many women as possible thrive during midlife and menopause, because you do not have to suffer, and there's so much you can do to help reset your system and help replenish and have a very vibrant, healthy midlife and menopause, and ideally enjoy the process. Okay, thank you for being here. I'll see you next time.